Hello everybody! Ugh, time for another daily draw. Actually I'm gonna move this over here a little bit. Move that over there a bit. There we go. Much better. Whew. I just took a photo of me walking around my drawing room and giving all y'all a little tour of it, so I should upload that later. I have something in mind particularly that I want to draw, but I'm a little bit nervous because I'm not actually very good at drawing it. I really like drawing Lameza and Sean from La-Mulana, but something about Lameza's design in particular always kind of like is very tough for me to pin down. Maybe like how scruffy he should be, because I tend to make him scruffier than I think a lot of other people do. I really like drawing Sean too. And actually, I really do want to draw him right now. So I guess I'll give him a try. In pencil. I tend to go by kind of his original design more, where he has like a stockier, like almost a pudgy kind of build, which I think is really, really nice, because I've always thought of him as being like slightly shorter but denser and more muscular than Lameza. Lameza, who is, in my opinion, like really lithe and agile. But like in the new artwork from La-Mulana, Sean is actually like really skinny. It's gonna be really rough. And not that great. Like I'm already kind of like slightly dissatisfied with this. I kind of had the feeling when I was coming in to draw this that I was like, oh, I want to draw Sean, but I know that this is one of those nights where I'm not going to be able to get him right for a while. So you can see how my proportions always kind of like take some noodling around. But then again, it's kind of hard to, you know what, I should do this bigger. I have the feeling like, because I'm used to drawing so small, that it's not going to show up too well. So let me try it again. And in pen this time. A lot of people have said to me, oh, you know, you always draw people from 3/4 view, you never draw people head on. It's like, no, I do sometimes. I drew somebody head on like just last night, but I definitely like feel most comfortable with doing it 3/4 view, because you kind of have a little bit of leeway. Whenever I draw people head on, I always find that it's hard to keep the drawings roughly symmetrical, or basically to not mess up both of the eyes. I always thought of him as having a particular kind of mustache. Not exactly like this. Something a little scruffier. But oh, there, this is a little better. Kind of paying special attention to his bone structure helps. I always get slightly nervous whenever I draw characters that I really, really like, that I feel like kind of compelled to, I guess, live up to. Because, okay, like for instance, I can just kind of sit down and bang out a picture of, say, King Candy. Because even if I don't get him right very much, like basically even if it's a bad picture, I'll still find something in it I like, because it's okay to make him kind of cartoony and a caricature. Like that, like I can just bang that out. But when I'm drawing a character that I really, really like, or like find attractive, like Sean from La-Mulana, that I always feel like, oh, I gotta do a good job. Nobody will be able to take me seriously if I don't communicate like how cool I think this character is. I'm attracted to pixels, but I'm not the only one, so. Whenever I get really quiet and like sullen, you can kind of tell that I'm like, oh, that thing I did wasn't really a good idea. he's got like, he's got, God, I actually really like talking about him too, because I think he's really interesting. He has a fucking bolo tie. He literally has a bolo tie made out of La-Mulana symbols, and he like, it's like a La-Mulana coin or something. And first of all, it makes me think that he made the bolo tie himself. This is supposed to be a La-Mulana numeral like this or something. I don't remember exactly which one it is. I think it's the one for number 1. Either number 1 or number 8. And he has like these little kind of, it's almost a bomber jacket, but not really. Oh wait, no, he actually wears his jacket open. Yes, that's it. That's it. Eh. Anyway, I really like Sean a lot. And I like thinking about him, especially about his relationship with La-Meza, because it's just so very atypical for a video game. Oh good, this is still pretty much centered. And, they're just such bad people, both of them. They're like really legitimately awful people. Sean is awful because he's a terrible father. And if he were a better father, then basically the game wouldn't have happened. There you go, he has kind of a duotone hat like that. But La-Meza is also like super, super bad because I think this is hilarious. La-Meza's entire motivation in the game is spite. The only reason he even bothers to go to La-Mulana in the first place is because he wants to see his dad fail and like mess up terribly and just destroy his career. But, and I was thinking about it and I was like, well, man, like, if at the end of the game, you know, not to spoil anything, but at the end of the game, La-Meza's relationship with his dad is in the exact same spot it was before. Like, in terms of their personalities, no actual growth has occurred. And I was thinking, and I was like, what would it take for some kind of growth to occur? What would it take for La-Meza to, like, stop getting hung up over his dad? And for the record, like, if you don't know the backstory about La-Mulana, it's this. Hold on, I gotta finish drawing this terrible picture of La-Meza. Ah, yes. There we go. Okay, but so the backstory of La-Mulana is that La-Meza, Sean is La-Meza's dad, right? Or we all know this. And Sean ran off when La-Meza was a kid, and he decided to throw himself into his work, and he was like, oh, I'm busy looking for La-Mulana, I don't have time to raise a son, you know, or at least that's probably what La-Meza assumes. In any case, so La-Meza grows up under the care of his grandfather, who is a nice guy. He's a ninja, he teaches La-Meza everything he knows. And La-Meza grows up really resenting his father, and the entire reason that La-Meza gets into archaeology is to basically one-up his dad. And so, like, the reason he goes to La-Mulana in the first place is because Sean sends him a message, you know, it has a little La-Mulana coin attached to it or something, and it says, you know, haha, I found it, I win. Which, first of all, is like, Sean, really, like, are you competing with your own son? Like, really, does it matter that much to you? Like, haven't you already insulted him enough? And then the fact that La-Meza's like, oh I got so angry, I just had to go see him fail, and it's like, God, you're a man-child. But the interesting thing about this, and pardon me that I'm not drawing right now, I'm busy cleaning out like my eraser, is that I was thinking about it and I was like, man, Sean is such a neglectful father. That must really, really hurt to grow up under that. And then I was like, but I don't think La-Meza will ever really be happy unless he stops letting his dad have so much control over him. Like, it's really worth noting that Sean doesn't seem to really want to have anything to do with his son, aside from taunting him. Like, if La-Meza had pursued a different profession, I'm pretty sure Sean wouldn't really give a shit. And, like, But Lameza becomes an archaeologist because his dad's an archaeologist. He gets interested in La-Mulana because he knows his dad is doing stuff about La-Mulana. And just doing some sketching so I'm not like just talking non-stop. And it's like, gee, Lameza, maybe if you hate your dad so damn much, maybe you should just stop like doing things that will bring you in contact with him all the time. I think it's really interesting that even though he dislikes his dad, he specifically chooses professions where he will be able to see him again and again, and try to ruin his life the way that Sean ruined his. I think, I don't know, it's just really fascinating to me. And that... oh, excuse me. Oh, good thing I have some water here that I haven't used yet. Tastes like peaches. And that's why I think it's really nice that Lameza and Sean are still kind of like together at the end of La-Mulana, because I like the idea of their story not really being over yet. I like the idea that they still have more left to do. And, you know, first of all, they're hilarious together. They make a really funny pair, if you ask me. I think they're fucking hilarious together. And also, like, I like the idea that one day they'll actually be able to, like, talk about their horrible, horrible issues, and maybe... Because, let's face it, the only way that they would actually be able to get a decent relationship with each other going is if they talked about their feelings. But that won't happen. Also, this is just me, but internally, I tend to always associate Sean... Is this center? There we go. I tend to always associate Lameza with either the sword or the whip, and Sean with the axe. There we go, this is getting a little easier. I have to say that one of the reasons why I like drawing Sean is because he doesn't really have any pupils. He's always drawn without them. So, like, I don't have to worry about getting his eyes correct. Don't have to worry about that messing up the picture. This is going to be kind of like a longer picture, so I wouldn't be surprised if it takes me a little longer. What an interesting guy. Action Grandpa. This is how one of my friends described him once. Action Grandpa. You can also see that how I start doing an action picture. Let's see, I always kind of try to start with strong, I guess I like to call it flow. Strong curves that kind of illustrate, like, as long as I have these curves guiding me, then I can kind of tell what I want this picture to be. As long as I can somehow, like, feel through this, I can kind of carve out the picture or something like it. I guess I kind of consider it like doing a sculpture. The idea that the image is inside here somewhere and all I have to do is kind of bumble around long enough and kind of dance around it long enough to figure out where it is and what I'm gonna do with it. Like, thinking. There you go. Nice axe. Nice tough axe. Just kind of using this. There we go. I really like drawing him like with thick legs. It's kind of a thick body type, as opposed to La-Mulana, who's jumpy and jumps around everywhere and he clings to walls. And I think of La-Mulana as being much more like a ninja, taking more after his grandfather, and Sean as being kind of like doing his own thing and not really paying much attention to his grandfather. Although obviously Sean has the same techniques. For one thing, he can stay alive in the ruins for a really long period of time, which makes me wonder how much food he brought with him. Which reminds me, as long as I'm spouting, I guess, my head cannons about La-Mulana, one thing that I always think is really interesting is the idea of comparing how Sean and La-Mulana do their quote-unquote research. And on the main site, it says that Sean, because his skills have started to deteriorate a little because of his age, what he started to do is poach the results of La-Mulana's and other researchers' excavations, which explains an awful lot. And and in particular, it basically explicitly illustrates the fact that, you know, Sean didn't just go to La-Mulana and then pop out of the ground when La-Mulana was 30 years old. No, like Sean has surfaced sometime before that, and he's been doing this shit for a really long time. So he and La-Mulana have kind of like developed not only like horrible family issues, but also like a professional rivalry. And I think that's really interesting. I'm gonna outline this because I have nothing better to do. and also, so I like to imagine that Sean, like, kind of goes into the ruins prepared for the long haul, and he goes in more prepared than La-Mulana does. Because, like, okay, in the original manual, it states that La-Mulana had all his supplies taken by customs. Fucking customs, of course they would. Ugh, I have problems with customs. And so the only way he was even able to keep his whip and his laptop was by shouting, you know, their souvenirs at the top of his lungs. And Sean probably just had to be like, hey, I'm Sean Kosugi. And they're like, oh, right this way, sir. As if it's like no big deal. And so even though La-Mulana got like all the treasures in the ruins and stuff like that, Sean, instead of using a grapple claw, he probably just straight up had a grappling hook with him that he bought at a hardware store or something. And just a lot of stuff like that. He didn't need like some kind of like magic flare gun because he already had a flare gun that he brought with him because he has money. Because he makes an actual professor's salary instead of an assistant professor's salary. Yeah, just a lot of really interesting, really funny little details in the game that kind of help illustrate these two awful man-children
and their dumb relationship to each other. When I call them dumb man children, I mean that really affectionately. His head's a little big, but that's okay. Cool. Shing, shing. Cool. Okay, I think that's good for a daily draw for now. It is... Oh god, it's been over 20 minutes of me screaming about La-Mulana. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.